So about a week ago, I got a shipment in from Grizzly. It's my new Grizzly bandsaw. And the weather's been pretty bad here lately as far as really, really cold. Not too bad snowing. We got some snow the other day, not a lot. First real snow we've had this year. Today it's about 40 degrees, and so things are melting off. So I'm not going to do a lot of sound in this video because I need the garage door open for the light. And there sounds like a cow pissing on a rock out here, so I'll probably do voiceover for the rest of the video. But anyway, I thought you guys might like to see this go together. And I'm very excited about it. It's my first real bandsaw. I had a Harbor Freight version that was souped up a little bit. But it just wasn't taking care of the needs that I had anymore. So I got this. And I got it for $545. And the shipping was free. So can't beat that. But anyway, stay tuned. See how this goes together. Alright, so here's where I start the unboxing. Starting to lay everything out in an organized manner. The first box that I opened was for the stand itself. Now be careful when you're messing with the big box, because this one is the heavy one. The total shipping weight was 240 pounds. I suspect that box probably weighs close to 200 total. I opened the box on the one side and all the parts were on the bottom, so I had to pull the bandsaw out in order to get to the rest of the parts. Here I'm going to cut up the box, and I recommend you do this as well. I am going to use this cardboard on the floor to ensure I don't scratch my paint on my bandsaw, and also it'll make moving it around on the concrete a little bit easier until I get it positioned exactly where I want it. Make sure that while you're assembling, initially just put the bolts in and the nuts on loosely so that you can adjust things if you need to. Makes it a little easier. Okay, now that you have most of it put together, or at least when I had most of it put together, I went ahead and tightened it down, because the next piece is going to be kind of hard to put on if everything's flopping around. I go ahead and get all the bolts and nuts ready that I need. Put the feet on the one side there. You'll see I put the feet on the other side here in just a second. Now it's important to notice, what's interesting about this bandsaw is the feet that they put on, they're just bolts with a rubber end on it. If you can get a hold of a caster that is a bolt style, now would be the time to put those casters on. They do make the locking bolt style, and that would keep you from having to buy the mobile stand, which I did not get. I plan on doing the casters later. I wish I'd have had them now, though. It's going to make it kind of tough to put them on once I've gotten it assembled. Okay, the last part to go on this stand is going to be the top itself. It's actually attached with 8 bolts. I was surprised. This is a very well made stand, and it is quite stout. I was afraid it was going to be flimsy sheet metal when I first opened it up, but it's not. It's like I said, it's pretty stout. Probably weighs 30 or 40 pounds by itself. And again, I recommend you put the bolts in loosely until you have all the bolts in, and then tighten it up. You'll notice anytime I open a new bag of bolts, I have to organize it. I'm a little OCD like that. Alright, now here comes the 200-pound part. Just be very careful. If you don't believe that you can deadlift 200 pounds, I would suggest you go call a friend, rig something from the ceiling if you can. I'm actually fairly used to weights like that, so it wasn't too bad. But it definitely was the full 200 pounds. This thing is made out of cast iron and has that heavy motor hanging on one side. Just make sure when you're putting it in that the top of that table is very slick. It's very well polished. I actually think they polished it, because when you put the bandsaw up on top, it wants to slip around. Now I did have trouble here with this trommel. There's two bolts that come out of the tabletop. One of those bolts, if you have one of these, you'll see the bolts move around a bit. The bolt was in the wrong position when they installed it, so I had to pull a cap and put the bolt back in right. It only took a minute though. That's the only problem I actually had with the saw the whole time I was assembling it. The fence is very straightforward. There's only two bolts for each side. You really can't put it on wrong. Unfortunately, you can't fit a ratchet in there, and the paint that they use, that orange paint around the edges, some of it was in the threading, so I had to use a wrench to take it in just about all the way. The other side of the fence attaches with Allen bolts. So it's, like I said, it's not too bad. There's not really any adjustment you need to do. One of the things that I love the most about this is they did not attach the measuring tape, the stick-on tape, on the fence. They sent that to you in the box with a backer on it, so you could put it on yourself. Most of the time they put it in the wrong spot anyway, so here I am doing the final adjustments, making sure everything's clear, the blade, tensioning the blade. Make sure and read the owner's manual when you're doing this to make sure that you've done everything correct, because you don't want to mess up the saw first thing just because you didn't read your instructions completely. So I probably double and triple checked everything. One of the things I did find was a couple of clasps that keep the doors shut. They hadn't screwed down all the way at the factory. I had to do that. No big deal, just took a couple of minutes. Okay, so here we go with the first cut. Just did a fairly straightforward cut to start out with to make sure the blade wasn't moving around too much, and just worked on some quick curve just to make sure everything was adjusted correctly. And it's just a piece of poplar, 4/4 thick, and it cut it pretty good. I'm not super impressed with the blade that came with it, so I think I'll be replacing that soon. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and share it if you think it'll be helpful. Have a great day.